Hi there, friends. Today I am going to be talking to you about the novel Monstrous Regiment by Sir Terry Pratchett and why I think that it is a good starting point if you're looking to get into the Discworld series. Now, first things first. If you've done any research at all into Discworld or into the book Monstrous Regiment, then you'll know it's not book number 1 of the Discworld series. It's actually book number 31. If you know why that's okay to start with book number 31, then feel free to go ahead and skip ahead to the time displayed here. If not, then I'll go on into my little spiel. So, Discworld is considered a series by publishers, but really it's more of a setting. And in this setting, there are several different series that take place, as well as several standalone books. So, Monstrous Regiment is one of these standalone books. It is a complete story in and of itself. It introduces new characters and completes a story arc with them all in one book. So you don't have to worry about not having read the 30 books before this. You will not be confused. So the setting for Monstrous Regiment is a small country called Borogravia. This country is ruled by a duchess that has not been seen by anybody in decades. It worships a god who is constantly coming up with these new abominations, things that are a little absurd at times, such as the color blue. And this country is always at war. And of course, it's not this country's fault that it's at war. It just happens to be surrounded by all these warlike neighbors, of course. So that's Borogravia. Our main protagonist is named Polly Perks. She is the daughter of an innkeeper. She is a very practical young woman, has a good head on her shoulders. And her brother was sort of recently, I think roughly a year before the story begins, was recruited to fight in a war. Go figure. And so basically she hasn't heard from him in a while. She's starting to get a little worried and decides to pull a Mulan, so to speak, and to disguise herself as a young man in order to join the military and find her brother, find out what happened to him, and, bring him home. Now, I have several reasons why I recommend Monstrous Regiment to different people. One is that it's a standalone. And normally I do tend to recommend people start with one of the series, but that's for different reasons, for different videos. So for this one, some people don't want to commit to a series. They don't want to have sort of that obligation of, but if I want to find out what happens with these characters, I'm going to have to keep reading more books. They want something where it can be tied up in a nice little bow and just presented in one book, and there they have it. And that's what Monstrous Regiment gives you. Another reason why I tend to recommend Monstrous Regiment is that it is a good sort of sampling of Terry Pratchett's general style of satire, of comedy, and how he, I guess, displays his commentary on society and human nature and that sort of thing. For instance, this book does go into nationalism and how this country very much believes that it's at war because it's everyone else's fault that this country is always at war. And it kind of, you get outside viewpoints from outside of the country, and then you also get viewpoints from, Polly's perspective and from her fellow army people, her fellow soldiers. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. And you see this process of her realizing that, hey, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this isn't the way things were meant to be. And while still having a very solid plot, a very interesting plot, where Terry Pratchett takes a story that's been done before and kind of turns it on his head with his own little flair of absurdism, and also introduces a lot of comedy to it. And so he just does this thing where he makes you laugh, and he makes you think, and he makes you very reflective on society in general, but how you contribute to society while still bringing a lot of joy to you. Another reason why I recommend it is one that I recommend books often in the Discworld series. With this, it has some faces that will become familiar faces later on. They are not the main characters, so it is a standalone. All the main characters are confined to this book, but they do come into play to a degree. You don't need to know anything about them before now, but you become familiar enough with them that if you see them later on, you will recognize them, and it'll give you a little smile. One of these is William DeWord. He is a newspaper man. Also, his photographer comes with him, and they come to report on the war, and you get to have a few conversations with them in the book, or Polly does, and so you can kind of become familiar with them. Another is Sam Vimes, who is personally my favorite Discworld character, and he has an entire series that he is pretty central to, and that is the Watch series. So, but he also appears quite often in other series. He just pops up. He is the he is the head of the City Watch, basically, and of Ankh-Morpork, which is outside of Borogravia, but it is a very big and powerful city, so it tends to kind of just pop up all over the place. Last but not least, this book introduces several different cultures from across the disc. This includes Black Ribboners, which are vampires, but specifically vampires that have given up drinking human blood. And so they kind of have to pick up something else. We get to meet a Black Ribboner that picks up coffee. So instead of drinking human blood, this vampire obsessively drinks coffee, which leads to a lot of interesting and fun moments in the book. Let's see. The next one is Igors, which are often sort of servants for rich people. They're extremely loyal, but they are also very good surgeons. This is because Igors tend to, practice on themselves. They tend to have different body parts from different people attached to them. So there's a joke, like, in the book where if someone says, "Oh, you have your grandfather's hands," they don't mean it like, oh, genetically you have your grandfather's hands. They mean that you literally have your grandfather's hands sewn onto you at the wrist. And that's just Igor's. That's how they are. That's how their society is. And because they have the skills, these medical skills, they are very sought after as surgeons on the battlefield. So this one is somewhat accepted with open arms by the recruiting sergeant. And then finally, there are trolls. Trolls are very large, rather unintelligent rock people that can be found across the Discworld. And in this book, you get to learn a little bit about their society. They have one. They're not that unintelligent, like they're still sentient and everything. And yeah, so this is a good book for just like a sampling of the different cultures and races throughout the disc. So that is why I recommend Monstrous Regiment as a good starting point for the Discworld series, or if you're early on in Discworld. Of course, you don't have to start here. You can start wherever you want. This is just my recommendation, and I hope that you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you around.